The Cunningham case, a tragic death, a family in shock, and the search for truth. How does a family go from living a seemingly ordinary life to facing the prospect of the death penalty? Lisa Cunningham, an Australian mother of 4, now stands accused of unimaginable crimes in the United States. Alongside her husband, Germayne, Lisa faces allegations of child abuse and first-degree murder in connection to the tragic death of 7-year-old Sanaa. For Lisa's uncle, Rob Topsfield, who lives in South Australia, the accusations felt like nothing short of a cruel prank. He initially dismissed them as an unlikely scam or internet cruelty, until confirmation arrived, shattering any hope that it was a mistake. This story isn't just about the crime, it's about family disbelief, conflicting narratives, and the devastating ripple effects on all involved. Today, we unravel the details of Sanaa's death, the legal battles surrounding Lisa and Germayne, and the questions still haunting those trying to piece it all together. Lisa Cunningham and Germayne Cunningham were charged in Arizona with first-degree murder and severe child abuse, making them eligible for the death penalty under U.S. law. Prosecutors argue that their gross neglect of Sanaa, a special needs child entrusted to their care, caused her irreversible suffering and ultimately led to her death. The allegations paint a harrowing picture, one of untreated medical issues, alleged physical mistreatment, and systemic failures leading to Sanaa's sepsis-induced passing. However, for those who know Lisa personally, including her family in South Australia, these claims are utterly incomprehensible. Rob Topsfield describes Lisa as someone who cared deeply for her children. He recalls her as an attentive mother, always trying her best to meet her family's needs. The idea of her intentionally harming Sanaa or failing to provide care seems as foreign to him as it does impossible. Yet despite the family's disbelief, the legal fight is real, with life-or-death stakes hanging over Lisa and Germayne's future. 7-year-old Sanaa, described as a bright but fragile child, required extensive care due to her unique medical needs. Like any parent, Lisa and Germayne insisted they work tirelessly to provide for her. But authorities, backed by chilling court files, claim a grimly different reality. An autopsy revealed Sanaa's death resulted from sepsis, escalation due to untreated skin wounds and infections. Prosecutors argue her conditions reflected long-term neglect. The court contends that Lisa and Germayne turned a blind eye to her deteriorating health, leaving her to suffer needlessly. But was it really that simple? Medical complexities play heavily into the narrative. Caring for any child with intricate health needs is physically and emotionally taxing. The court alleges negligence, but Lisa's defense argues a lack of systemic support, a failure to truly help overwhelmed families navigate the medical maze. Were Lisa and Germayne victims of circumstance, or were their failures born of deliberate inaction? When Uncle Rob received news of Lisa's arrest, disbelief was his first reaction. His initial thought? Someone must be playing a cruel trick online. Over in South Australia, his family stood united in asserting that Lisa was incapable of such neglect. But as details unfolded and charges solidified, denial gave way to resounding heartbreak. Lisa loved all her children, Rob insists. Sanaa was no exception. It became evident that thousands of miles away, Rob could do little to influence Lisa's situation. His sorrow was compounded by helplessness, the kind only distance can impose. The idea of Lisa and Germayne sitting in an Arizona courtroom staring down the full might of the U.S. legal system feels surreal. For Rob and the rest of her family, hope now lies in the ability to tell their side of the story, even as they face mounting public scrutiny. At the core of this case lay two contrasting narratives, both demanding attention. For prosecutors, the evidence is conclusive: visible wounds, untreated infections, and living conditions that allegedly speak for themselves. The accusations argue a pattern of abuse rather than isolated incidents. Lisa and Germayne, on the other hand, vehemently claim their innocence. They argue that every decision they made was aimed toward supporting Sanaa amid extraordinarily challenging circumstances. In doing so, they portray themselves not as perpetrators, but as caregivers navigating an impossible situation. For true crime audiences, such contrasts between guilt and innocence are electrifying. Here questions abound. Could two devoted parents really neglect a child to this extent? Were they careless, overwhelmed, or misunderstood? And perhaps most unsettling of all, how many cases like Sanaa's slip through the cracks unnoticed? The case has gained attention not only for its tragic storyline, but also for the harsh reality of Arizona's death penalty laws. As Lisa and Germayne fight to defend themselves, they stand trial in a jurisdiction known for its uncompromising stance on severe crimes. This raises pressing legal and moral questions. Is it justifiable to impose the ultimate punishment on parents accused of neglect, no matter the damage caused? And could systemic issues such as overburdened child welfare agencies have exacerbated the problem? For true crime aficionados, these legal intricacies make the case all the more compelling. The courtroom discussions shine a harsh light on parenting under pressure, questioning where personal responsibility ends and institutional shortcomings begin. Beyond the courtroom, unraveling the ripple effects of this tragedy reveals the pain endured by Lisa's wider family. Rob Topsfield speaks eloquently about the dichotomy of trying to reconcile his love for Lisa with the magnitude of the allegations. What stands at risk here isn't just Lisa's life, but the family unit itself. True crime often lays bare not just the crime, but the unraveling of relationships, communities, and belief systems as trust comes undone. Sanaa's death isn't just a tragedy for her immediate family. Her case encapsulates the struggles faced by countless caregivers as they battle to balance love, responsibility, and overwhelming circumstances. While this story centers on Sanaa, it also raises broader systemic questions. Were there warning signs overlooked by child welfare or medical professionals? Could interventions have prevented this tragedy altogether? Lisa and Germayne's lawyers argue they were overburdened caregivers, let down by a system ill-equipped to support families with special needs children. True crime audiences must now grapple with the delicate boundary between accountability and empathy. Furthermore, what does Sanaa's death teach society about recognizing caregivers' cries for help sooner? And how does a family subjected to such scrutiny bear up under the weight of their loved one's legacy? As the video comes to a close, we return to Rob Topsfield. From his home in South Australia, he reflects on the torment of not knowing what comes next for Lisa and Germayne. He questions how they, as a family, can move forward when fractured by geographical distance and legal proceedings that feel far out of their depth. For audiences, the Cunningham case serves as a stark reminder. Tragedies like this are rarely as black and white as they appear. Whether Lisa and Germayne are found guilty or innocent, this case highlights the devastating pressure of caregiving, the fragility of justice systems, and the resilience of families torn asunder by unimaginable loss. In the end, this isn't just a story about a crime. It's a reflection on humanity, justice, and the ties that bind us amid the worst of circumstances. For now, all we can do is hope that justice, in all its complexity, prevails.